May God bless you. Welcome to Bible Band with Pastor Everett E. Riley and Evangelist Sharon Riley. Let's start our lesson. Our Bible Band lesson is Lesson 2, God's Pledge with Abram. Background reading, Genesis 17, 1 through the 8th verse. Also, Genesis 15 to the 22nd verse. Devotional reading, Genesis 12th chapter, 1 to the 3rd verse. Also, Genesis 16, 1 to the 4th verse.
Our central verse is found in Genesis 17 and 5. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. Our lesson deals with two key terms today. The first one is promise, which is a pledge to do something or bring about. The second word is help, to aid, assist someone. Our introduction begins by saying Abraham, originally from Ur, came from a pagan background in a way we do not know. He learned of the one true God. So when God came to Abram and told him to leave all he knew and go to an undesignated place, Abram obeyed. God promised Abram land and people. There was a big problem. Abram and his wife had no children, and now they were old. Abram decided to take matters into his own hands, quote unquote, helping God. He had a son by his wife's maid. This, however, was not God's plan. Genesis chapter 17, verses 1 to 8, deals with God's covenant with Abram. Abram's son Ishmael was 13 years old. Abram was now 99 years old, and Sarai was beyond childbearing years. So Abram thought. Suddenly, God appeared with a new message. He called himself Almighty God, which is in verse 1. God can do anything. God told Abram he needed to be faithful and obedient. He would receive new knowledge and responsibilities. These words caused Abram to fall on his face in utter humility. Abram knew he was not worthy. God gave Abram a new name, marking him a special way. Abraham meant father of a multitude. This name could have been a farce if God were not in control. Abraham had only one son, not a huge number. God nevertheless renewed his covenant that promised Abraham would be the father of many nations that would be spread all over the earth. God would be Abraham's protector. He would provide future blessings. He would allow kings to be born of Abraham's seed. Again, God knew his plan. From this one man's descendants would come to the Messiah, Jesus Christ. This covenant was a display of God's grace after the Tower of Babel. Because of their pride and desire to reach heaven by building a tower, he had caused the people to scatter all over the earth. Genesis 17:15 to 22 mentions God's covenant with Sarai. God did not leave out Abraham's wife, Sarai. She too would have a new name, Sarah, which means princess. God promised that Sarah would be a mother of nations and kings. At first, Abraham could not believe it. After all, Sarah was 90 years old. How could she bear him a child? God assured him, though, that Sarah would indeed be a mother. He even told Abraham to call his son Isaac, which means he laughs. Abraham's faith needed to grow to believe this. As for Ishmael, God overruled Abraham's action. God also showed mercy toward this young man. He brought blessing out of trouble, promising to make a great nation from Ishmael as well. Abraham's response to God's covenant was obedience. He had all males circumcised, marking them set apart for God. We have 3 questions. Question number 1. What were the meanings of the names Abram and Abraham? Question 2. How did Abraham react to hearing that Sarah would be pregnant? Question 3. Why did God insist that his covenant with Abraham had to be fulfilled in Isaac? The answer to question 1. Abram is a masculine given name of biblical Hebrew origin, meaning exalted father. Abraham means father of a multitude. Answer to question 2. When Abraham heard that Sarah was pregnant, at first, Abraham could not believe it. After all, Sarah was 90 years old. How could she bear him a child? God assured him, though, that Sarah would indeed be a mother. Answer to question 3. God insisted that his covenant with Abraham had to be fulfilled in Isaac because Sarah was Isaac's mother. Sarah also means princess. God promised that Sarah would be a mother of nations and kings, and from this union of Sarah and Abraham came descendants which would include the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And we like to close with the essential thought. God is faithful, even when his people are not. Thank you for joining our Bible Band on today. I'm Pastor Everett Riley, pastor of the Mother Church. May God continue to richly bless you, is our prayer.